Hi folks, this is your MWIS Planning Outlook with the details into the weekend and beyond. Something a bit more optimistic for a change as we move into early September. More details on all of that in a moment. Starting off with the temperature chart first of all. This is the temperature anomaly in relation to the long-term seasonal averages, and for the next 5 days it's quite close to the average for the end of August and early September. A little bit on the cool side, where some rain and some drizzle is around across England and Wales. Temperatures tending to lift as we go towards the weekend. With a more optimistic forecast, naturally the temperatures will be warmer at this time of year, and we're just a bit above the seasonal averages then on the chart heading into next week. Looking at the rainfall chart, and there's not as much to show as many recent weeks on this, and actually across the Highlands most of what's shown here is what's falling through the rest of Tuesday and on into the showery conditions early on Wednesday. But for most of the Highlands the days ahead are looking largely dry, so a good story here, similar to for much of northern England. Some patchy rain and drizzle encroaching from the south, most likely across Wales, where some steadier, heavier rain is possible across more southern regions here on Thursday. Let's take you through those charts then, and here is Wednesday's chart. Low pressure, which has been bringing showers during Tuesday, is still nearby, drifting off into the North Sea, and will produce some further showers across northern and eastern parts of the Highlands. Most of those in the morning, a few in the afternoon, tending to fade across many places. Some patchy drizzly showers across England and Wales will also tend to fade out. The chilliest of the northerly breeze in the morning will be easing with time as the pressure pattern becomes very slack from the west. Some further fronts though are pushing their way in, and that will be the story into Thursday. The focus of the rain associated with those fronts is across Wales, where it could be a rather damp day much of the time, low cloud shrouding the hills. That front trying to push into northern England as well, with some drizzly showers, bits and pieces of rain, maybe not amounting to much in total, but where it develops for, say, southwestern parts of the lakes, the western Yorkshire Dales, could be just rather damp with lowering cloud. That could get into southwest Scotland too. Some drizzly showers may be encroaching into some of the islands and coastal parts of the southwestern Highlands, but for most of the Highlands it looks to be a dry day with some hazy sunshine, some high cloud around at times. Easternmost regions could just be dragging in some cloud off the North Sea, mainly towards the far north. A breeze from the east across northern Scotland, in places a little bit gusty near to some of the coasts. Mostly light winds elsewhere, a little bit blustery around rain across Wales though. Quite a slack pressure pattern into Friday. High pressure is toward the north, lower pressure away toward the south. Most of the rain-bearing fronts away over France by this stage, but the remnants of the previous feature still loitering across England and Wales, and some patchy drizzly rain and one or two heavier showers developing into the afternoon, especially across Wales. Those could become quite slow moving. For Scotland, one or two local showers, patches of drizzle, mainly in eastern regions, with some low cloud being pulled in off the North Sea, possibly here. Western regions faring best overall for Friday, with sunshine and most mountains free of cloud. Light winds overall across the country. Now, say it quietly, but the chart for Saturday is looking pretty good compared to so many recent weeks. High pressure is on the scene and a fine settled day is likely. Scope for some inversion conditions early in the morning, with some fog patches in the valleys and the glens, maybe a few banks of cloud around some lower hill slopes for a time. That will largely burn off, and then we'll just have some patchy fair weather cloud generally above the hills and a good amount of sun. An easterly breeze across Wales, a light southwesterly across the Highlands, strongest toward the northwest. Here, a weak warm front may bring some hazy high-level cloud, but overall it's looking dry and pleasantly warm, particularly by the afternoon in that September sunshine. Sunday too looks to be a good day, with high pressure still in charge, light winds, again some early mist and fog, and then mostly bright and sunny skies. Just got to watch a little feature that's over the North Sea. There is much uncertainty how that forms at this time, but it could just pull in towards eastern parts of the country with some low cloud and some patchy rain locally. That is very uncertain. It may hardly develop at all, but just watch that one in the longer term forecast. Looking at the forecast modelling onwards into next week, and this is the chart as we go through Sunday from one of the different forecast models, and it shows high pressure over the country. It makes a bit less of that feature over the North Sea, it must be said. It does make a bit more of the southwesterly wind still across northwest Scotland, and a front which would be away over the Atlantic. Cast your eye back further into the Atlantic and there's quite a dartboard of a low which is well out over the open ocean. That is a tropical storm which is currently Hurricane Franklin off the eastern seaboard of the States. Now these features often get absorbed into the mid-latitude jet stream over the North Atlantic and then just turn into areas of low pressure, much like any other. What can happen though in those situations is that they can push an extension of the Azores high further northwards and eastwards across Britain. So whilst those storms loiter about, it can mean that we get some good weather. Now, for Monday, there may just be a trailing extension of a cold front interfering with us with some patchy rain and cloud for a while, but that should dissipate as the high then rebuilds and strengthens as we go into next week. That tropical storm pulling away northwards and eventually being absorbed into the westerly flow towards Greenland and Iceland. There's a lower risk that that system gets a bit nearer to us, but what seems more likely is that that high would extend in and will stay in for a good few days through that week ahead. Low pressure around Spain and Portugal, producing some wetter conditions there, but that being kept away from us, and broadly fine conditions should well prevail for a good few days next week and possibly even further ahead as well. Looking pretty optimistic, and we've been looking for this for a while in these longer range patterns, for some good weather being on the way into early and mid-September, and that model signal there for the higher than average pressure, the pinker colours across the northern portion of the map, across northern Europe, Britain and the North Atlantic, would give a sustained spell of good weather. Could be that there's an easterly wind across the southern parts of Britain with lower pressure further away toward the south, but for a good while ahead it would seem that any Atlantic-based weather systems would be steered away from us, so we're not seeing the wind and rain that we have done in recent times. Some fine September weather would be on the cards. Further ahead, it could just be things become a bit more mixed after mid-September, with the signal for higher pressure just retreating away from us and maybe some areas of lower pressure coming in from the southwest at times. Much to play for with detail, but I would just expect something of a breakdown in the later stages of the month. You can stay up to date with all your local details on our website. For today, that is your Planning Outlook. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.